Hi guys, Spot here, and today I'm going to be reviewing Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City, which I just finished. And if you want to see my playthrough, I'm going to link the first video in that playlist right here. Yeah, it's going to be right there. And also, since I don't want to hold my hand here the entire time, it's also going to be right up here in the corner. So, yes, let's get into this. Okay, so if you don't know, Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City takes place in 1998, whenever the first outbreak of the T-virus started in Raccoon City, and it takes place in between about Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. And what you are is you're a team called the Wolf Pack, hired by Umbrella to kill all the survivors and all the people that can link the outbreak back to Umbrella, which they don't want, obviously. So that's who you that's who you play as, basically. And it's quite different than recent Resident Evil games, just because you have to stop. You don't have to stop whenever you shoot. You can actually walk around and shoot, and you have a team with you, and you don't have an inventory. You just pick a primary gun, a secondary pistol, and then you have like a little thing in the corner down over here that shows like your grenades and shit. But yes, now the review part after that part. So I actually enjoyed playing through Raccoon City. It was a fun game. It was just a little different than the Resident Evils which I'm accustomed to, which is like 4, 5, and yeah, those ones. But it was a good game. Overall, I think I'd give it about a 7.5, just because it gets very repetitive with many enemies. Like, instead of a bunch of varying different types of enemies, sometimes they'll just like throw the same enemies at you, just like a bunch of them. Like, there's one point where it's just non-stop hunters just keep on coming in, and you just have to kill them, and it just gets really repetitive. But also, another downside to the game is you're a team. You're in a team, and if you're playing in a single player like I did, it's just you and then 3 other bots which are on your team. But the AI in this game is not so good. The bots, I found that they most of the time will just stand there and not really do anything, and they won't help you out at all. So it'll basically just be like you fighting everyone. But I can see where this game would be really good with 3 other players, like on multiplayer. Like if you're doing a multiplayer playthrough of the game, or like a co-op. But also there's a versus game mode in the game, which is online multiplayer, and that'll boost up your XP, and you can spend that XP for the single player storyline with buying new guns and stuff. But it's really hard. There's not really that many people that'll play it. Like, there's not very many people playing it online, so finding a match sometimes can be quite difficult, and that just was a downside of the multiplayer. But overall, it was a fun game. If you like Resident Evil for the story, I'd say it's a different take of the story of Resident Evil 2. But it is a fun game. Don't get me wrong. I would recommend playing this game. If you have the chance, if you get it like for a gift or something, that'd be really awesome. You could just see through it that way. But buying it, if after you beat it, there's not that much more playability unless you want to go through and play the game again with a different character, which the only difference would be different like passive abilities or different special abilities. Which in my playthrough, I played through with Vector, which is the recon guy, and most of the time my active ability was just to mimic other like enemies, which would basically the only people you can mimic was the Spec Ops, which there's a lot of Spec Ops, which it doesn't feel like a Resident Evil game whenever you have to fight against other people that have guns. I'd see Resident Evil as more of a game where you're fighting different monsters and stuff, which is mostly why I'm waiting for Resident Evil 6 to come out in November, and I'm going to be playing through that most definitely. But see, that would be the only reason I would see going back and playing through the game again. And yeah, that was my this is my review of Resident Evil Operation Raccoon City. To recap, I'd give it a 7, maybe 7.5. And cons are just very repetitive stuff sometimes, but original missions as a pro. And thank you guys. If you like this video, please hit a like down here, and also subscribe up here. That way, yeah, right up there. Please hit the subscribe button so you can see my videos of my playthroughs in your sub box whenever they come out. And right now I'm playing through Fallout New Vegas and some other games that don't really come to mind right now. But ever since I finished Resident Evil Raccoon City, this will be like the last video in that playlist. And again, right up here, there's going to be a link to go to the very first video in that playlist. So, I've been Tusspot, and as always, guys, peace out.